Welcome to another Shields Ministries recap. We had a wonderful show this evening. I kind of threw the fellas a curveball. But today's topic was basically, where is Big Mama? Where are the examples that we used to have in the household of grandparents and grandmothers and mother figures that were not trying to be the children's friend, was more concerned about parenting the children? And today we had a guest, a surprise guest. One of the clients that I'm working with, her name is Nay Talley, and she has a powerful testimony about how she raised her children, and how some of the neglect that she had in her children's lives affected them and still affecting them. And some of the choices that she made in her own life, as far as wanting to be more concerned about who she was dating, versus who she was raising. And she's just a microcosm of a bigger picture. There's a lot of women that are not necessarily strippers or dancers or call girls, but just regular women who are selfish with their time and who are more concerned about being married than they are being parents. And sometimes the parenting or the child comes before the husband, and then you're stuck in a state where I have to raise my children, but I'm still selfish and want to do my own thing. So here we heard a classic example of a young lady who was still in her selfish, it's about me, whose kids suffered because of that. And then that led into her getting to making other decisions that affected her and her children. But I think if we look at this situation, we know that wisdom and experience is so valuable. The whole book of Proverbs was written about wisdom and experience, and how when we have that, it can save us a lot of time and heartache. And then we're supposed to pass that wisdom and experience on to the next generation. A lot of times in the African American community specifically, we don't believe in estate planning. We kind of, when people pass away, we wait to the last minute. Sometimes we got to fry some fish, bake some cakes to pay for the funeral, beg the church, yada, yada, yada. But if you really want to do estate planning, it's not just passing on money and businesses and homes. It's passing on wisdom and instruction that Proverbs was talking about to save our children, to give them hope and a future in the sight of God's eyes, so that they don't have to go through some of the things that we go through. And that's what's missing in a lot of households. And Nate talked about it, and we talked about it. Parents who are more concerned about being their friend and buying the affection of the children versus being a role model so they have respect. When it comes to parenting, it's better to be respected than liked. So that's what we have to get to. I want my children to respect me. I'm not so concerned whether they like me, because here's what happens with wisdom and instruction. Sometimes we don't appreciate it until later on down the line. Something someone told you that you thought was to hurt you, you find out later on down the line that was to help you. And then when that person has gone on or is no longer in your life, you miss that, what we call affection, that tough love, or whatever you want to call it. We miss that. And I've had talked to several clients where they've had their parents who kind of just let them do their own thing. And later on in life, they said, man, I wish my mom, my dad was more involved and gave me more structure in my life. And now I see the residual effects of not having that type of love and affection. And make no mistake about it, people. You cannot buy children's affections. Yes, they will play with the toys today. Yes, they will accept the clothes and the gifts. But when they grow out of the clothes and when they don't no longer playing with that particular toy, it's out of style, out of season, then it comes back to, mommy, daddy, do you love me? That's the end of the thing. After you done bought the Jordans and you done bought the PlayStations, right, and all that stuff, at the end of the day, when that stuff is no longer relevant, it always comes back to mom, dad, did you love me? And did you set the right example for me? So I could have a chance to give that to my children. And that is what we have to deal with. When God spoke to Abraham, God was speaking to our generation. When he was speaking to Adam and Eve, he was speaking to our generation, because God works through generations, through bloodlines, right? And I can get into a whole story about bloodlines and Jesus Christ. But I want to say this, that when we think about our children, we have to think about them in lieu of a generation. I'm not just parenting Jimmy and Mary. I'm parenting Jimmy and Mary and their children. And that's what we have to see. And then we have to be able to have enough compassion to see how is this going to affect them emotionally and psychologically and spiritually down the line. You know, and to do that as parents, I've got to get out of this me first mentality, the way this generation is being raised. It's not all about me. The day you have children, it's not about you. And one of the things that Jesus always talked about, is he was trying to please the Father. So it wasn't about him. And the Father's will was for him to be concerned about his people. We do have an obligation to be our brother's keeper and to have a compassion for others. And to do that, we have to come outside of me, me, me. Matter of fact, there is no peace and no freedom in me, me, me. You will always be enslaved to your own selfishness. And your own selfishness will have you out there making poor choices with who you relate to, what you deem is valuable and important, like money, what you're willing to do to get those things that you deem valuable and important. That's all related to your own selfishness. So when we learn to be more unselfish, then some of our values and code of ethics shift. And that shift goes back to, now, wait a minute, I do care about someone besides myself. And not only do I care, I'm willing to make sacrifices. So I don't have the testimony that I wasn't there for my children. I thank God for Nay. I've been working with her for about a week. I have another young lady, Crystal, and I'm really excited about how her powerful testimony is going to help not only heal her and her household, but help others. And right now, I know she can't see it because she's still involved in a lot of it. But I think as this movement that God has got us on continues to grow, with that Each One Teach One mentorship of other young ladies, I think she will be able to see it and see how powerful her testimony will be, and the also therapeutic healing that her own soul will get, to let go of and to forgive herself and let go of the guilt of not being in her children's life. And I'm praying and hoping, as we continue to pray for her children, that they start to forgive her and forgive themselves. Now, I can go on and on because this was a very exciting topic to me, but I want to say this. We want to pray for the young ladies who are having to figure out how to raise children and how to be a role model without the guidance of someone of the wisdom that we have had in our generation. If they don't have it, there are mothers in the church. So that's one incentive to get some of these young ladies in the church, is so they can get some of these mothers that have all this wisdom to give these young ladies and have no problem giving it to them. And I thank God for this Shields ministry topic. Where are the women? Where are the matriarchs of the family, patriarchs of the family? And I will say that even though we don't see as many, I believe we have to rebuild them. I believe that through God's help and mercy and grace, we can rebuild a new Big Mama for this generation. And that will be the new paradigm shift to try to get this train back on the track. But again, pray for me, your brother Lim, Shields Ministries. And I thank you for the opportunity to do this recap with you guys. God bless.